What's good everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information on Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch. We've got a bunch of new information on the gameplay, combat systems, new footage, IKE as well, plus online play for the game, which is something pretty cool and exciting for Fire Emblem fans and just how it works. But before we get into any of that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and drop a comment below on what your favorite Fire Emblem game is that you've played. And if you've never played one, let me know what you're looking forward to in this game, Fire Emblem Engage. All right, now with that out of the way, let's go in and jump right into the information here. And we're starting off with the Fire Emblem Engage beginners trailer. Nintendo released a slew of new footage that you guys have been seeing right now, and the game is looking absolutely incredible. There's a number of things that I particularly like about the aesthetics and about what they're doing from the overworld map and some other things that we're going to go ahead and get into, but I love how this game just gives that complete vibe of a uniquely built, distinct, traditional Fire Emblem experience with a lot of layers of depth and strategy on top of it, but also trying to ease new players into it by starting fresh here and then adding in the heroes from the past where you can learn about them. This is a very, very good thing that they're doing here. So Nintendo and Developer Intelligence Systems have released this brand new trailer, Fire Emblem Engage, introducing the basics of battle and character development for series newcomers. Now, let's hear a little bit more about the game because we're getting very close. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about Fire Emblem Engage and if you should start here. Do you need to play Fire Emblem Three Houses? Well, no, you don't need to play Fire Emblem Three Houses, nor do you need to have extensive knowledge of any other Fire Emblem game to get into this one. Now, the Divine Dragon awakens. In the war against the Fell Dragon, 4 kingdoms work together with heroes from other worlds to seal away this great evil. 1,000 years later, this seal has weakened and the Fell Dragon is about to reawaken. As a Divine Dragon, use rich strategies and robust customization to meet your destiny, to collect 12 emblem rings and bring peace back to the continent of Elyos. So let's talk about this, because in this game, you will team up with the past heroes of various different Fire Emblem games over the thousands of years that these characters have been around in their time period. It's a really cool setup, and that has worried some people if they need to be able to have played like Shadow Dragon or Path of Radiance, and no, you really don't need to play any of those to know about this game. But for those who have played the previous games, it's going to be pretty cool seeing your favorite heroes. But I know a lot of you guys have probably played like Super Smash Brothers, right? So you know of some of these characters, but really they just add on to the depth of the game. It's got its own unique characters, it's got its own unique story. There's not really anything that you have to know from them. I just think it's a nice little touch, especially if you have played Fire Emblem Heroes, the mobile game, and you like some of that, but without all the gotcha and other stuff. So you can summon valiant heroes like Marth and Celica with the power of the emblem rings and add their power to yours in this brand new Fire Emblem story. And they talk about all the different emblem rings from Marth, Celica, Sigurd, Leaf, Roy, Lyn, Erica, Ike, Micaiah, Lucina, Emblem Corrin, Emblem Violet. So those are all the 12, but I'm sure there's going to be more. We do know that there's DLC. You're going to have on one band the 3 from Fire Emblem Three Houses when it comes to all of them, and there's also going to be Tiki as well with the expansion pass content. So they're going to be adding new emblem rings in there as well. They also go over some of the new faces in the game, from Alir, who is the main character with the red and blue hair, also the Divine Dragon Lumera, you have Fram, Alfred, Ivy, and so much more. There's going to be a host of new characters as well that can equip these emblem rings, and you're going to have to custom mix and match what you want to use. Certain emblem rings will be better with certain characters based on the attributes of that character. So the cool and fun part about it is actually finding the strategy that works best with what you want to do and what emblem rings. Fire Emblem Engage, they talk about engaging in a new style of combat, which is a little bit different and mixes things up from previous Fire Emblem games like Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, aside from merging appearances, Engage, which is like the fusion system in the game, lets you use weapons, skills, and more from these legends during battle with the emblem rings. The turn-based Tactical Battle is back with a brand new engage system to add more layers to that strategy. Now, you also have the Somniel as well, which is like the base hub operations. And I think this is the reason why that this game is really growing on me like exponentially when it comes down to it, because it seems like they took some of the best things from various different Fire Emblem games. So you have this new engage system, you have like this teaming up with someone else. Well, that's very similar to what they introduced back with the dueling up with people or meeting up with people in Fire Emblem Awakening, and they've had in previous Fire Emblem games, but Awakening did it in such a great way. You also have the base camp where you have a hub world where you can get upgrades and you can train and you can do other things. Well, very similar to Fire Emblem Three Houses and how they did it in that game, and a little bit with Awakening and Fates, but really Fire Emblem Three Houses was great for that, and now you have it in this game, but then you have it without all the weirdness and the activity points and all this stuff that was restrictive, very restrictive in Fire Emblem Three Houses. You have free reign in this one here with some limitations here and there. So I love how they've been able to weave this game into a unique Fire Emblem experience, taking some of the best that they've learned from different Fire Emblem games and kind of putting it together, and also putting it together in one of the best looking packages. I like the fact that they looked at the feedback from the previous game, Fire Emblem Three Houses. People loved it and said it was great, but they said the graphics and some of the performance necessarily wasn't awesome. So what they did was like, okay, I get that. But they kind of cut back when it comes to the overall scope between Three Houses, but they made it to where it was really polished, and they really drove home the points they wanted to do with the gameplay and with a singular story. So I like the focus of this game. It's not necessarily as grandiose as Three Houses and maybe some of the multi-path, Fates and Birthright and Conquest and Revelations and what they've done in the past couple mainline Fire Emblem games, but it's created its own unique, distinct, singular narrative and driving home what makes that best. And to me, that makes the best type of Fire Emblem games, in my opinion, over the years, whether you're talking about Fire Emblem Awakening or if you're talking about Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, whatever the case is. So to me, I love what they've done there. Now, there's a bunch of other information that we do need to get into, or stuff that I want to point out. And they do have this new feature that I like quite a bit, and that is the Overworld map. Once again, something taken from a previous Fire Emblem game, and that was a game, Fire Emblem Awakening, where you kind of ran on this little overworld map to get to your next point and do skirmishes and missions and other things. So that was really cool in Fire Emblem Awakening, and I'm so glad that they brought it back. They actually put up a post on Twitter saying that on the world map, you can move to the next chapter or your destination. You can make preparations or return to Somniel as well. It's pretty cool that they're going to have these different points that you can go to. I love that, and I feel that they should bring that back as well. So I was thinking, how are they going to do like the overworld, the map and stuff like that? What are they going to do? Are they going to do just like they did with Three Houses? But I'm so glad they're bringing this back, because that's my favorite style of picking like a chapter or going somewhere, is a world map, and like you go from point to point. I love that. Reminds me of Super Mario Bros. 3. For some reason, I thought that was the coolest thing when I played it. That was the first time that I ever saw like a map break where you go from point to point like that, in a video game back in like the 1990 or whatever the case is. So I've always felt like those overworld maps, like where you go from point to point and you have like options and stuff like that, are so good. So yes, super happy to have that back here with Fire Emblem Engage. Now, another thing is that we've got some brand new gameplay footage as well on IKE in Fire Emblem Engage. And this is some footage that they showed off on Twitter, saying, introducing the Ring of the Emblem of Radiance, IKE. Strong in offensive power and durability, he gets more powerful as he loses more health. So he's like a Saiyan or something like that. He is a good emblem for taking the heat from enemies with his defenses and power-ups at low HP. So definitely going to be using my boy IKE quite a bit. Like I said, he is looking absolutely fantastic in here. And one of the coolest things that I saw is that his pose that he has from Smash and from the games is in there as well. I love that. They really are doing a great job of capturing I would say the animations and the look of the characters and the look of these different characters throughout the course of time and everything like that. It really looks great. And when you see them fluidly moving in battle as emblem rings and engaging into it, it's just super awesome with all the different skills that you can get and what they're doing. So once again, incredibly cool here. Game looks super silky smooth, and once again, it's another must-buy Nintendo Switch RPG here based on everything that we're seeing. The team really went in on this one. I think that it was really good what they've done with the improvements to the graphics, the gameplay, the systems, the mechanics. This is the Fire Emblem game to really get on board with new players as well. Now, I do want to talk about that because new players are going to be very vital to the growth and to the continuation of Fire Emblem. So I do want to talk a little bit about the sales of the game and what's going on. So right now at this point, Fire Emblem Engage is expected to have a much bigger launch in Japan over Fire Emblem Three Houses. Shout outs to my man Pierre485 on Twitter. He's been keeping track of the sales, or at least the pre-orders, of Fire Emblem Engage in Japan with the COMG, which is one major retailer there, and it shows the game more than doubles the pre-orders of Fire Emblem Three Houses launch align. Now you have to remember this, guys, when you look at Fire Emblem Engage compared to Fire Emblem Three Houses, the install base is a lot bigger now at this point, but Fire Emblem Three Houses is still the best Fire Emblem game of all time when it comes to sales. It's the best selling one, and this one has doubled it up plus then some, and we still have a little bit less than a month to go before launch. So once again, the trends usually follow in Japan. It follows here in the US as well for most games, especially Fire Emblem or Xenoblade or whatever the case is. So you could expect bigger sales here in the West as well for Fire Emblem Engage. So I definitely think some of those mobile players are coming over from Fire Emblem Heroes because they're seeing what Fire Emblem Engage is doing with the gameplay. So that's definitely good to see. Now, one more thing that I want to touch on is the online multiplayer in Fire Emblem Engage. So it looks like there is going to be online multiplayer. Now, I talked about this a little bit before with the online where you can download other people's like cooperative maps or these maps and you can play them and you can go back and forth, but it seems like it's a little bit more in depth based off of a new slide from the developers of the game. So they say the battle continues at the Tower of Trials in Somniel. Asynchronous online battles await. Spend relay tickets to play relay trials, taking it in turns with other players cooperatively, or make your own maps to share and enjoy battles created by others in Outrealm trials. And another cool thing about the online multiplayer is that they have the tie-in trial, which is an online mode only. And this is a trial that aims to clear by cooperating with other players online and playing one map while taking turns like a relay. So this is a really cool, real online co-op modes that they have for Fire Emblem Engage when it comes to asynchronous multiplayer or when it comes to actual co-op. And shout outs to my dude on the comment section over on the official Fire Emblem Twitter account, and he translates a lot of the posts from Japanese to English, and he's stating that based off of the text that you guys are seeing in this cooperative trial mode, you can have up to 5 players when it comes to co-op. So this is looking like a very in-depth features that they're adding into Fire Emblem Engage when it comes to not only the single player, but the multiplayer gameplay as well in cooperative online with your friends. This is the first time that we've seen multiplayer back in Fire Emblem since the Nintendo 3DS days, and that had online competitive multiplayer. It was just kind of nobody played it because it was weird, but I think that this is probably going to be a little bit better when you have online cooperative asynchronous multiplayer. You can take turns and kind of fight from there and battle on threats. You can get other people's boards and download them. You can share your own. This is a fantastic way to get extra replay value and just more gameplay out of Fire Emblem Engage. So very good. Love the fact that they're doing this with the online. And I think that, once again, it just shows that Intelligent Systems and Nintendo with Fire Emblem, they're not out of ideas. There are a slew of fresh and good ideas that, as a longtime Fire Emblem fan, I've been playing these games for decades now. I'm like, okay, wow, that's new. That's different. They haven't done that before. That adds value. That is something cool. So they're adding in a bunch of cool stuff. They're doing a lot of new things with the gameplay, and they're making Fire Emblem, that's 3 decades old plus or something, feel incredibly fresh with the graphics refresh, with the style, with the features, and online now, and with Somniel, and adding more stuff and taking the best from various different Fire Emblem games and putting it into the package here. I think that this is the Fire Emblem swan song on the Nintendo Switch, and I think it's a great one to go by because I can't wait to see what they do with the next generation of Nintendo hardware and what they get when it comes to Fire Emblem, because this has consistently been one of Nintendo's best franchises over the years, over the decades. Pretty much every system has a banger Fire Emblem game. Well, except for the N64. But outside of that, every other system for the most part has a banger Fire Emblem game. And on the Switch, we've got 2 of them plus spin-offs as well. So this is absolutely incredible just to see what they've been able to do here. Intelligent Systems, obviously Koei Tecmo, Nintendo, and it seems like Gust as well with the graphics and help cleaning that up in Fire Emblem Engage. So very good across the board. So what are your thoughts here, guys, when it comes to this new beginner information? Also with Ike in the game, how do you feel about his gameplay footage with some of the cooperative online modes that they're doing here? In addition to the pre-orders and sales, things are looking up for Fire Emblem Engage, so I love to see it. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're someone new. Click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.